bitch like I was Drake, yeah.
Don't just try to tell me you love me. Can't keep it real if you really don't trust me. Come with a real, you hit up in the front seat. Get my meals, I'm gunning for the money. Money in the bank. Coming with a dank, scrolling in the tank, rolling with the gang. You sick and I on the sideline tripping. I go to the hole with the rock like Pippin.
Yeah. I'm okay.
What up, though? Welcome to Woodward Live on Woodsports.com. I'm Eazy. That's my guy, Detroit Kool-Aid, to the right of me.
What up, though? What up, though?
My very first co-host ever had on this very stage.
Let's go, man. Hey, I tell everybody all the time, man. My introduction to this desk was on the Speakeasy pod, man. Thanks to this guy over here. I like to call you what, Mr. Eazy, Mr. Speakeasy. What are we calling you now these days?
Don't matter. Young Eazy, Lil Eazy, Big Eazy, you know what I'm saying?
Mr. Heavyweight.
Mr. Heavyweight. It don't matter, man. You call me whatever. We got young Chris, JB Smooth. Smash that like button. Be a friend, tell a friend, share the stream. Much appreciated. We did numbers, by the way.
Let's go.
When we were doing this, it was just like me, you, and I think we had
I remember that.
King on the one side. Yeah. The channel was like still like really new then.
Yeah. It was dope, though, man. We had fun on that.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we were talking about who would win in the fight, Dan Campbell or Matt LaFleur.
Yes.
Yeah.
We started that trend. And now everyone, it's a topic that comes like once a year. I feel like some news outlet takes that and makes it a conversation.
Well, now you guys know that started right here. Thanks to this guy over here.
Right, don't think it's this guy right here. Right there. How you been, man? You were at the Cruise game last night?
Yeah, man. Motor City Cruise game. They took on the Cleveland Charge, and it was actually a good game to be at. Ermanni Bates, Ypsilanti, Michigan native. He plays for the Charge, and he came in there and he dropped like 36 points on them too. But they also took that L, man. Motor City Cruise, they got some hoopers, man.
Who do we have? Anybody like?
They got like a team full of kind of NBA cast-offs almost, and then our two-way players. You know, Stanley Umude is down there.
Yeah.
Nwaba, who played for, I believe it was like the Jazz.
Now we're talking about our kids talking crazy?
Yeah.
These names you're saying is like Nwaba.
You know, Buddy Boeheim, man. He played with the Pistons last year, but he's cooking down with the Motor City Cruise, man. So, yeah, they went out there. They put up like 50% from three-point range and took over down the stretch. Xavier Simpson, Go Blue legend. He played.
The levels are crazy of like basketball. Like,
it is.
Knowing how good those guys are. And then like they're like only on like 10-day contracts when they get opportunities like
it's wild
at the National like Basketball Association level. It's insane.
Speaking of wild, so Asar's brother Amin was in the G League, and did you see the numbers he put up?
No.
29 points, 16 rebounds, 11 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised at all.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
I see they're doing a dual like bobblehead thing too between the two of them.
Yep.
But is he still in the G League? Right? Isn't Amon still?
That was from today. Yes. Yeah. Today.
Dang.
So
I'm saying like how they giving a bobblehead if he's not even like active on the roster right now.
I mean,
but they kind of forcing it. They should just wait until the both
still have
active.
the player rights. They still have the player rights, which
I know,
allows you
just
for
weird.
marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is weird that you would market somebody that's in the G League, but
yeah.
I mean, I get it. Again, that's why people were upset with the Pistons. Like, why didn't you go get a bunch of veterans? Well, the downside is that Amin is in the G League and not on the roster.
Is Cam still down there too?
That I don't know. Let me look that up.
Well, I think Asor is like clearly, good enough to be playing at the NBA level. No,
yeah.
Or is it just because we have lack of talent? I mean,
yeah, no, he's good. He's good enough to play, but
he
probably wouldn't have got the opportunity though. Easy if they did the Houston route where they signed a bunch of veterans, he might not have gotten that opportunity. Like he's showing that he's good enough. But Amin is now having to like prove it through the G League because he just doesn't have the minutes on the court. You know,
well, I get Amin was like the higher prospect
ceiling wise.
Yeah, or I guess like I don't know why he was viewed. I mean, I kind of understand it for like what he was like. At the time, I was calling him almost maybe like a more athletic kid he could be at some point. But it's crazy because Asor was the MVP out of the two when they won championships at the was it OT league? What do they call it?
Overtime. And he also played in some summer leagues as well, the under 17 like USA basketball team and all that type of stuff. And honestly, this is what Troy Weaver was talking about. He was like, I know I can go out there and sign some guys that would help this team immediately, but he said that it would put us in a position to where we won't really get to see what our young guys are, that they would get blocked, especially with a coach like Monty Williams. You give him some vets, then you're going to have guys that are going to go down to the G League like Asar, like Marcus Sasser and those guys. And now we see that those guys actually do belong in the league, that they actually can go, they actually can ball. And what Chris said, man, when Houston went out there and they signed Fred VanVleet and they went out there and they signed Dylan Brooks, it absolutely stopped any aspect of like their young players being able to still develop if they needed that time on the court. Obviously, there's going to be some like Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, but the other ones like Amin and Cam Whitmore, they've had a little bit rougher time.
Yeah, her Cam needs some work.
Yeah.
Cam wasn't as polished as basketball's tough to scout though, man. Like, it really is. Like, how many times you see like after like that, even sometimes number 1 overall pick, but like more than often after those like top 2 picks, it's just such a gamble, man. Such a roll of dice.
It's tough.
I think it goes back to what you said earlier, Eazy. Like, the margins are just thin. Like, these guys can all look great in certain situations if they're in the right situation. Again, remember Saban Lee? Pistons fans remember Saban Lee. He was triple doubles in the G League, and he
was averaging 40 in the G League.
Yeah, like he couldn't, really whiff an NBA court like that. So it's crazy. There's just the margin of great basketball players in this world is just so thin. It's so thin.
Yeah, it's the guys that scout for how good they look when they're dribbling the ball, when they're scoring, and then there's the guys that are scouting who are they in everything else, and that's kind of the difference between Amin and Asar to me. Asar had all of the other intangibles as related to rebounding, defense, playmaking, because that was his role all the time.
Yeah.
And when looking at that, that's what made Troy Weaver's eyes kind of be like, you know what? We got to make sure we lock into a top 5 pick last year. They had to. So if they did miss out on Wemby after having such a tough season, he knew the entire time Asar was the pick he wanted in that top 5. And sometimes I wonder, when you talk about the scouting, if he didn't pick Asar, how far would he have fallen? Because remember, Troy Weaver also identified Jalen Duren as a top 5 pick on his board as well.
Yeah.
And where'd they get him? They wound up trading with New York to get him at 13th.
Yeah.
13th. I mean, he got an eye for at least scouting that type of talent. Now we got to see if he can put it together, get some free agents, get some vets in here that can actually take this thing to the next level.
That's one thing you can't knock on Troy Weaver is his drafting ability. I can't deny that. Outside of obviously like the Halliburton thing.
Yeah.
Like that COVID draft was weird for everybody. The COVID draft was weird for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Been his pick.
Huh?
It might not have been his pick.
What do you mean?
They already had Killian Hayes kind of pegged as the pick from everything that I've heard, man, before they hired Troy. Remember, Troy got hired a month before the draft. And it was the COVID year. They had already had Will Bynum working out with Killian Hayes overseas.
I do know that Will Bynum was working with Killian.
Yep.
I want to say this, though, real quick, to the point of Rockets not getting to develop their younger players.
Yeah.
They got W's, though. Yeah. They look. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win any division. I'm not saying anything like that, but, like, they're probably going to be the playoffs this year if they keep going the way they are.
I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible, and I think there's value in that. And these players, it's 2 different schools of thought. We'll see how these players turn out. We'll see how Amin and Asar turn out. Those are great kind of case studies. Is it better to just give them the rock when they're even though they're on a losing basketball team, or is it better to let them sit behind vets who are good vets like Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks? Those are good NBA veterans to learn from. Maybe not the antics of Dylan Brooks, but as far as just a basketball player-wise, it's a good player to sit behind and kind of learn their game. So we'll see which one ends up being right. But for now, it is what it is for the Pistons.
I'm gonna keep telling people, man.
Toilet bowl tonight.
The toilet bowl tonight. I'm gonna keep telling people this though. I like what the Pistons are doing from this perspective of making sure they went for once. In the last 20 years, they haven't done this, but they went and they cleaned up all of their books to the point that there's no long-term contracts. There's no dead money on the books. They got massive amounts of cap space. And next year, out of the 8 players they have under guaranteed contracts, only like 5 of them are on rookie deals. The only other players are Bagley, Stewart, and Bojan. And Bojan might not even be here next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been on the by the way, if you guys haven't, this is Detroit Kool-Aid, official Detroit Pistons beat reporter for Woodward Sports. Make sure you guys give him a follow. Is it at Detroit Kool-Aid?
At Detroit Kool-Aid.
At Detroit Kool-Aid. Make sure you guys give him a follow for that one. But I don't forget what the hell I was gonna say. Don't even remember.
I don't know. But you see John's membership chat?
No. Did I get one finally?
He said what is your top 3 of all time in the NBA all time? He said all time twice, but I think he's just asking for top 3 players.
Emphasis?
Probably.
Top 3 players all time NBA. Michael, LeBron, and Shaq. Probably older school. If I grew up, if I was a little bit older, I might be able to fit Bird in there. But that's my personal top 3.
I put Michael, LeBron, Kareem.
Who's it for you, Kool-Aid? Top 3 all time. NBA players. It's a super chat.
Jordan, LeBron,
No order. Just don't even.
Kobe. Yeah.
JB.
Jordan, Kobe, and AI.
Man, get out of here, man. What? I'm playing.
Man, what?
Pistons AI?
Oh, I need Philly AI.
Now is that like is that our personals, like our favorite players, or like
Man, he just asked
who we
what's your
think is
top.
greats? That's
What's your
fair.
top?
Yeah, I don't even like LeBron, but I respect his greatness.
You don't like because
The Pistons,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I saw that man go out in 2006 and
That's when he won
absolutely
me
put
over,
25
oddly enough.
points on us in a row. I was like, nah, bro, get out of here. Get out of here.
That's literally the moment where I was like, all right, well, I gotta respect that. Like this kid's nice.
You know, it was a moment for me. It wasn't even a Cleveland moment because it was, the Pistons were contenders at that time. That whole first run of LeBron's Cleveland, or LeBron's first Cleveland run was all Pistons contending. So I was always, F LeBron. And then when he went to Miami, it was easy to like the villain narrative. But you know what? The game that won me over was that game where he destroyed Jason Terry and that Boston game.
Yeah.
Where he just balled out in the Eastern Conference. I think that was Game 6.
Yeah, I think it was Game 6.
Man, bro, I went to my boys, and my boys were all like LeBron fans, and they're like, "What you got to say?" I was like, "I can't say nothing no more." Like that dude was balling. That was one of the best games I ever saw.
I'll never forget. I was at my boy. Shout out to Mike Whitten. I think it was either our 8th grade or freshman year, and it was right after he hit that game winner against Orlando, like the half court, like buzzer beater 3. Mm-hmm. I think I ended up going to the finals that year. But I was like, man, out of the blue, I was like, can you imagine him and, you have like random conversations with your kid. Can you imagine him and D Wade on the same team? And fast forward, it was like 2 years later it happened. I was like, what? I don't know. It's wild. But I think I showed LeBron some respect. Yeah. Like even last night, I think I messaged the group chat.
Yeah.
24, 6, and 7 at 39 years old. It's insane. And then like last night, like it's crazy because like he's to a point where he could like slow mo like the regular season. And then when it comes like playoff time, it's like he's still got something in the tank. And last night, obviously, it's a play-in game. I'm sorry, the season tournament game. This motherfucker is just doing the damn thing. It's like I don't know. It just blows my mind that he's still like at that level, playing at that high of a level, at the highest level, at 39 years old. Like
he's at that
nature,
level, man, where he's absolutely proven to be so great that his haters are just punching that air right now. Like I'll tell you, like I don't like him like I didn't like Jordan, like I also didn't like Kobe. Yeah. But you got to respect that, man. Yeah. It is pure greatness, and I got to even say that and admit that. It's greatness. And the longevity, this isn't like John Stockton playing the 18, 19, 20 years and towards like those last 5 years just kind of chugging along to try and stack up those counting totals. This is LeBron James still going out there with game averages, bro, and putting up superstar stats still.
That's what's mind-blowing, bro. Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I can't even say that because we saw Jordan at this age, and he was okay.
Yeah.
He was still okay. We came back and played with the Wizards.
How old was he with the Wizards, yeah.
But he's just far better right now, man.
And I was too young for Jordan. Like, I wasn't, like, enough of a fan to appreciate, like, the little bit I did get to see of him. So, like, I guess where my respect crosses over into a little bit of fandom is like I want to be able to witness greatness to that level. You know what I'm saying? Just like to say that at some point when I'm older, like, yo, I got to watch LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? I'm just rooting for greatness at this point.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Why don't you tell us about Big Boy?
Big Boy. Look, man, we on the heavyweight. So wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try the Veal Parmigiana or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack or Santa Fe Garde. Also, new apple pie hot cakes that are too good to miss. Top it all off with the new gingerbread shake for dessert. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equipment Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Listen, you want to shop your home and auto insurance with the best? Do it with my guy Mark with Swiss Insurance. Contact him at mark@swissins.com or call him at 248-290-8242. It's 248. I'm sorry, I messed it up. It's 248-800-4177. 248-800-4177. I gave you guys Mark White's number. I apologize.
Don't call him.
Yeah, Mike White. Don't call him. I mean, you can call him.
You can call him.
But not till later on the show. I got to read that part. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like button, 5-star review on our podcast platforms. I'm Eazy. We got Detroit Kool-Aid in the building. Official Detroit Pistons beat reporter for Woodward Sports.
Yes, sir.
Check him out on Twitter at X. He's really active there. A little too active. You be entertaining the haters a little bit too much. I
got to learn from that, man.
Oh, Eazy, you can't say that.
I can't say that. I'm not as bad as I used to be. I used to be good with that. I used to be so good at just ignoring people. I love Twitter though.
I'm getting there though.
Yeah.
I'm about to get there. Seriously, I got to focus on work anyway.
It does it messes me up when I do let it get to me.
Just mess up the whole flow, the whole rhythm, all that
It
stuff.
pisses me off. I can't focus on it's bad. But we got young Chris, JB Smooth, the real Chris Platte, JB up next. I'm at Speakeasy Sports _ hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you guys. And yes, I do look damn good on the thumbnail. I don't know what I did to deserve this thumbnail. Ryan, you guys think I'm a Jared Goff hater. We told you yesterday he sends the ducks unprovoked in the group chat.
Unprovoked.
We won't even be talking about Jared Goff. We just get a random duck in the chat. And I'm not talking like emoji. He'll find a duck in the game, record it with his phone,
and make sure we all see it.
For context.
Yeah, that's look, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm looking like a snack, bro. Come on.
I'm just saying,
bro. She's that good looking that you don't need her face. You just put my face on it and still yeah. I guess so.
How many people looking at that thumbnail don't realize it's you?
I hope a lot. I hope they realize immediately because things are getting sketchy there. Back to the topic at hand. We had a lot of stuff in the beginning that we didn't get to. I guess I'll save it for the ending topic. Let's jump to some Lions talk, though.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we have a graphic for this one, Chris, if you will. I think it was brought up on the Pat McAfee show with Dan Orlovsky. And the kind talked about the Detroit Lions playoff matchups because this is actually going to lead to your topic you're talking about, too, is where your true expectations are. But they're saying teams that could float in and be a rival to the Lions in this year's playoffs is one Matthew Stafford in the Los Angeles Rams coming to Detroit if they fall through and win the division. What are your thoughts and feelings? Where were you with him pursuing the Super Bowl, by the way, with the Rams? Were you a Detroit Ram or what?
No, I wasn't a Detroit Ram, but like with Justin Verlander going out to Houston, it was like, you know what? If this organization is not going to do what they need to make sure these great players can have the opportunity to win, then let them go somewhere else. So it was out of a respect factor, I was like, you know what? I'm happy to see him win one, but I was not a Detroit Ram, man. I'm Detroit sports through and through. I have no second teams.
Yeah.
I have no rooting interest for other teams. I sat there honestly salty, well, good for you, but when is our time?
Yeah.
When is our time? But if he came here to Detroit, I hope the Lions absolutely smash.
I agree.
Absolutely smash. I don't even want a good game, a close win. I want them to go out there and exercise demons from the last, 60 years, dog. Straight up. Just go out there because Stafford represents two things here. He represents somebody that I don't think the organization necessarily helped the most, but there were big moments that he could have helped this organization a lot in. And I just felt like in some regards, he did fall short.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair too. I think they did I think they did a lot. I guess enough. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like Martin Mayhew was like him, but Stafford had talent. I feel like they never had it coaching wise. I think the closest thing they had to coaching was obviously up for debate, but Jim Caldwell and I like Jim Schwartz too. Like
I like Schwartz.
When they fired Schwartz, I wasn't necessarily ready for that to happen yet. Like he was the one that kind of restored the roar. Like
he was nasty underneath Schwartz, bro.
That's what, and the defense especially. When Dominic Sue, Cliff Averill, like the defense was phenomenal with him. And then I feel like Terrell Austin and Jim Caldwell kind of got the beneficiary of like inheriting that defense, and then we kind of saw it fall off from then on. And I kind of wish they kept him, but man, oh man, if Stafford came to Detroit, what a narrative that would be. I could see the NFL, fixing that situation.
I was just about to say that, bro.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like obviously I would want my Detroit Lions to win. I was kind of like pissing on the Detroit Ram fans. That shit. It only pissed me off because we had if he had just left like through a free agency or something like that, like I'd be rooting for him. But we had like a draft capital like attached to him, so I was like, fuck that, lose, get us a top 5 pick, and like I don't care. Then I'll root for you after that. But obviously he went on to win the Super Bowl, and I was happy for him. And I said that too. Like if he made it to the actual game, I'm gonna root for him. I just have to.
Yeah, I was happy for him.
And he's good, bro. He's been good. I don't think he's had the coaching. Like a lot of people like want to. And I'm not trying to turn this as like a bash JG thing, but like a lot of people like cape for him as if he's like the savior of the franchise. It's like he also has a lot more than Stafford had while he was here in terms of like coaching and like an actual like GM who's like doing things. I mean, hitting at all levels of the draft, bringing in guys on I guess fruitful contracts, or not fruitful contracts, but like team friendly deals, and having the coaching staff make something of those team friendly deals on top of that. Like Stafford never had that situation. If Stafford had a Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, come on.
I remember when they tried to gas up what's his name, Lombardi, Joe Lombardi.
Yeah, worst offensive coordinator all time.
Oh, they tried to gas him up. They started saying things like, "Oh, Joe Lombardi had to scale back the playbook for Matthew Stafford." Man, when I was seeing that type of stuff, it was like, "What are we doing here?" We've seen Matthew Stafford go out there, especially in those 2-minute offenses, and absolutely do work.
Joe Lombardi got fired by the Chargers last year too. Like, he's terrible. Doesn't matter who he has, where he's at. Joe Lombardi should never got a second job. I think I'm like way more knowledgeable of the sport now than I was like back then, especially. I knew what plays were coming up next. It was literally like I was playing like a little brother in Madden. I'm like, okay, here comes the screen. Here goes Golden Tate screen. Okay. Oh, here, deep shot here. Like it was like in sequence every single time. I don't know if you guys remember, they played the Denver Broncos, and I think it was Roby after the game was like, yeah, we knew every single play they're calling. It was as clear as day.
That's wild.
But that's Joe Lombardi, man. I'm glad he's gone. But I'll tell you what though. There's obviously we'd want the Detroit Lions to win in that situation. Do you think they'd win in that situation?
I think they would. Man. If there's a matchup to see, isn't that the matchup that has to be?
I want that.
Rams, Lions, Stafford,
Bay
Goff. Dog, that's the matchup that I want, man. Honestly.
Yeah, like win friendly or just to see entertainment wise?
Both.
Yeah,
both.
I'll be kind of nervous, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
But you trying to see Seattle again?
Man, no.
Nah. Like who would you want to see in the playoffs then?
I mean Green Bay, Minnesota. Which one of those guys skates in?
I guess Green Bay. Minnesota is one of those teams that I'm just still like. They got some high skilled players in some positions that our team cannot defend. Green Bay don't scare me as much. Maybe I'll probably put them right above the Rams.
Yeah,
but it'll be Rams and then maybe Minnesota.
Yeah, I got like the same thing. Like I think they got like Minnesota's got like obviously Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Like I think they'd carve our secondary up at the same time. One thing we've not been able to stop all season, like consistent with this team, elite quarterbacks have field days on this defense. And I think Matthew Stafford is, if he isn't elite, he is like the gatekeeper of elite. He's like right at the threshold of it. And he has a big enough arm where he could just do the same kind of things. And with him, I mean, we've known here watching him for 12 years. I don't think it matters who's out there playing wide receiver. You guys remember Chris Durham? Like, you know what I'm saying? He made those guys relevant for like a few years.
Circus.
Yeah, he was Matthew Stafford is him in certain aspects. I would be scared to see him. Chris, I saw you had your hand up for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it would be storybook because at the end of the day, Matt Stafford can be the one to give the Detroit Lions their first playoff win. Like I think it's a definitely a favorable matchup because that's a young team Like, people forget that a lot of those pieces that were on that championship team are gone now. It's Stafford, it's Kupp, it's Donald, and a lot of new guys. And, you know, Aaron Donald is a beast. I'm not preferring to go against that man, even still. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is the Detroit Lions. Their greatest weapon is their offensive line. And, you know, I'd like to think that they can do a pretty good job against Aaron Donald. And then at that point, you're going Goff versus Stafford, and Stafford could get the better of Goff, but I just like the Lions roster a lot more than I like the Rams roster. So I would prefer them almost over Minnesota and Green Bay, because what Jordan Love did, like, he's been on a heater. He looks like he might be a quarterback that's actually finding himself, and if so, that Green Bay team is a little bit better than we think. And Minnesota, I mean, I don't want to play Justin Jefferson. I mean, that dude can single-handedly win you a game. You know?
But I mean, with the pastronaut, what the hell's his name?
Yeah, Dobbs.
Yeah, I
feel you. He's tailing off for sure, but like,
bro, you scared me more once you mentioned Aaron Donald. By the way, like, that makes it even like.
Yeah,
I know we have a good offensive line, but like, where they kind of been weak has been the interior. Frank Ragnow's got an injury now too. It's like, bro, I don't know if I want to see the Aaron Donald and Stafford combination coming in here.
I should take that back. I feel like I should still never want to see Aaron Donald. You're right about that. Yeah, it probably is then the Vikings, just because of the quarterback play. Like, you know, you'll have an advantage there. The coaching, you know, you should have an advantage there.
Yeah.
Plus home field advantage. Those three things should equal it almost impossible to lose.
I feel like script wise, and obviously because like I'm a Detroit Lions fan more than I've ever been like obviously a Jared Goff guy, but like, we see it more as like us versus Stafford, but you also have the narrative of Goff versus McVay in that situation too, which would be a good storyline. Script-wise, I don't know what sells more. Detroit Lions getting that dub. I think that's it for sure. Detroit Lions getting that dub, because you got Goff getting his revenge. Detroit Lions getting their first playoff win in forever. Where you at this situation, JB? Did you guys talk about this earlier?
No, we didn't talk about this earlier, but no, I would be in favor for it. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, here to Detroit, a team he once played for, to actually see the team doing well and doing good, and then for us to sit here and knock him out of the playoffs. Like, that would be fun. That would be entertaining. Although Chris did make a good point with seeing Aaron Donald, and that is probably not a great matchup
I talked myself out of that immediately.
But still, it would be nice to see, you know, Matthew Stafford come back here and for us to put up that fight and honestly, hopefully, probably knock him out. And also, Cooper Kupp versus Amon-Ra St. Brown in receivers, like, that would be a nice battle too.
I kind of want it to happen now. But obviously, Aaron Donald's one factor, kind of like scare me away from that narrative, but the storylines, like the build-up, that'd be a huge game, and a hell of a playoff win to remember.
There's only one storyline I care about, and that's the Lions getting a playoff win. So I just want the easiest opponent.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, that's what I want. That's what I want. I know Kool-Aid's got a lot to say on the Lions and the playoff win thing, but for me, that's all I want this year. That's what I came into this year expecting, and anything else on top of that is gravy. Just get that monkey off your back and continue building towards a championship team.
Well, listen, guys. We come back and read a couple comments from Woodward Sports Chat, and Kool-Aid's got to call a couple of Detroit Lions fans, including some you may know.
Yeah.
But first, got to tell you guys about Mark White, because whether you're buying or selling real estate, Mark White is a place to go. And right now, Mark White and his team can save you up to $5,000 on your closing costs. You heard that right. That's $5,000. Give them a call today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss basis. Join Maz, Dick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel. Now, coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. The same great service that customers have come to know and trust. On Woodward Ave, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com.
What up, though? Welcome back to Woodward Weights Live on WoodSports.com. I'm Eazy. You got Detroit Kool-Aid filling in for Spinmo Racks. Young
Shout out
Chris,
to Spinny.
JB Smooth. Shout out to Spinny. Getting a tattoo. Maybe we'll get that in the prep and show you guys that by the end of the show. But I'm going to read a couple comments because before we went to break, we kind of talking about like what teams you want to see. And on the Pat McAfee show, was brought up that the LA Rams could be coming to town in a playoff matchup against the Detroit Lions. I think that'd be beautiful for both storyline. I mean, what a playoff win to remember in that situation. Like your old quarterback that you had to break up with and go watch win a Super Bowl, kind of got cucked in a sense, and then returning here with that same team, that same coach, and then you just destroy them or beat them. But anyway, just either way,
I need destruction.
Yeah,
I need total
want destruction too.
Like, bro, their coach effectively took our quarterback down to wherever they were, Cabo, Cancun, wherever it was.
But we got cucked. We got cheated on.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. I was like, oh, we just so happened to be there at the same time. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Like, that to me, I'm just like, you know what? Matthew Stafford, I understand, I get it. And the organization let him go. So it's just like, cool. That's a break in what they've done. They didn't do that for Calvin. They didn't do that for Barry.
Yeah.
They finally came to some senses underneath Sheila, and they said, you know what, we'll let this happen because we haven't treated you guys the right way.
Yeah.
But the Rams organization, screw them. Screw them. I want them to get pounded into like next week, bro.
Yeah.
That's how I want. I want their legs wobbly for a month after we beat them.
That's
Hey, yo!
Relax, man.
Chill. It's a family show.
Chill. It's a family show,
man. Come on.
Trying to emasculate them?
I even got
all them kids.
I want them calling me daddy.
What'd you say, Chris?
I say, you see why Kool-Aid got all them kids?
Nasty ass. I want the legs shaking. I gotta change the sheet.
That is the best though.
I want to read a couple comments from Woodward Sports Chat.
Oh, man.
Bob's Big Boy, that's my guy, but he is the ultimate goblin. He says golf is better the last 2 years in every metric. Matthew Stafford got hurt, brother. He got hurt. He literally missed like the entire season last year outside of like 4 or 5 games. Another comment I saw from Chef. Chef Talks NFL. It says, and Stafford throwing a pick 6 to put the game away. ... Poetry. That really would be.
It would.
That would be poetry.
That's where my mind went.
That was definitely a staple of Matt Stafford's days here in Detroit with the pick 6s. But I mean, it comes with the territory, man. We were trying to make big plays. You put some. We had that big arm talent. You go to make those like stupid throws because you can. You have the ability to do so and get you in trouble sometimes. ATL, the easiest ops, is El Gato. You're not wrong, but I think they get a home game as well with winning their division as the NFC South. Like the same way I think the Saints will end up losing to the Marshawn Lynch on the hold my dick run. I think the Seahawks were under 500 in that game. We're at 500, and the Saints had like a spectacular season in that one. But they ultimately went to Seattle. That's where the 12th man felt like they were born. Couple comments I want to get to. Lions lose first game of the playoffs, no matter who it is. Says Donkey Kong. Get your hating ass on. I don't believe that. I don't believe that a second. Rams play Baltimore and 49ers, so they're 9-8 at best. Yeah, I don't think they beat Baltimore. I can see them beating the 49ers in a freakish way, just because, like, again, division games can go either way. We are speaking of division games. We talk about the Detroit Lions versus the Bears a little bit later. But moving on, keep it about the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
You want to call out some Lions fans in regards to the playoffs.
Look, man, look. I know that we're just now starting to experience some type of actual sustained success. Not success like when what was that year they went like 6-2 and they had Mike Furry running into the camera like we're going to the playoffs and all that stuff, and then they collapsed in the second half. I'm talking about a legitimate team. We got a legitimate front office. We got a legitimate owner. We got legitimate players. We got a decent quarterback, better than decent quarterback right now. We got some pretty good skill pieces, and I'm calling myself out too. And I heard you, Chris. I did too. I entered this season saying I just want to see a playoff win, even over a division title. I just want to see this team win a playoff game to be able to stop at least that one narrative. Then obviously next is at least make an appearance sometime in the next decade in the Super Bowl. But are we soft for just wanting one playoff win this year when this team, and I think their expectation, as they've shown us, should be probably more than that?
So you think we should raise the expectations on this team this year?
I do. I'm not saying that they should be in the Super Bowl, but what I'm saying is, why can't this team why can't we expect this team to go in there and win a couple games in this playoffs? Why shouldn't we?
I think at a certain point in the season, we kind of felt that way about this team, right? When they're like, I think four games straight of like double-digit wins. Like, I think they had the largest like win margin of any team, or at least we're up there. But then you got to see this team against the good teams. So the teams are like, going to be in the playoffs, and they haven't really looked the same. And I think the only team they beat is going to finish above 500. Well, I guess now maybe the Green Bay Packers. Their schedule looks pretty easy the rest of the way. But outside of that, it was the Chiefs, and they didn't have Kelsey, and they didn't have Chris Jones. The Ravens, that was ugly. Seattle, that wasn't pretty. I mean, they was still in it, I guess.
And they should have beat Seattle, though.
They should have beat Seattle.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when I kind of look at some of the detail is when I start to actually say, I feel like us as fans should hold the organization to the same standards that we used to. Mm-hmm. We used to tell them to go out there and do more, do better. We used to tell them, you know what, we're not really going to settle for what we've come into the season with. If you guys have shown to be something, then go out there and do it, because we saw during the Stafford years, there were years when this team should have won a playoff game and they didn't. Now we're sitting here with a team that I believe is better than those teams, and we're just sitting there saying, man, we hope that they win a playoff game. And that's me too. That's Chris, bro. That's me as well. Like, I'm sitting here like, I do want to see them at least just win one. But then what are we actually saying about this build? What do we go around and we talk about Brad Holmes being the man. We go around, we talk about Dan Campbell being the man. We go around, we talk about our rookies actually being like Sam Lagoda. We talk about Jared Goff, and we actually talk about should he get the contract or not, no matter which side of the fence you on with that. We're talking about this team as if they're one of those teams that are going to go into the playoffs and actually have an opportunity to win a couple games in the playoffs. That's how we talk about them until we actually start talking about the playoffs. And then we start saying, well, hopefully they can win one game. I think with that type of mentality, if the Lions go into the playoffs with that mentality, they're not even going to win that one game. But I do believe that us as fans, I'm talking about, like, we really inspired change here with the Lions. Yeah. We were the fans that did mobilize the Million Man March and literally had them remove somebody I don't even think the organization wanted to remove. Yeah. We literally, you talk about football always sells here. Nah, we went through a stretch in time where the Lions sucked so bad that even Lions fans stopped going to the games. Or if they did show up, it was with paper bags on their heads. Yeah. I feel like this is one of those pivotal situations where we cannot let the organization believe it's okay to go out there and kind of give us the minimum of expectation. That's kind of where I'm at, man.
I'm with you. I think that's the way I think we should move as a fan base. Like, I look at Philadelphia, and as of late, they've been like kind of tremendous as like a sports city. Like, they got the who the hell is their baseball team? I can't think of right now.
Phillies.
Yeah, the Phillies. The Phillies been tremendous. Like, to the point when the Braves were there for the series, they didn't even cater them food. They're like, no, F you guys. Like, this is you guys versus us to the core, to every bit of it. And like, they're rewarded, even though it's like hasty at times, and it's like kind of awkward when like they're booing Santa Claus, or it's like really aggressive towards like these teams are in winning situations. Like, Well, no, because ultimately, I think that reflects on the ownership. The ownership's kind of embarrassed by it. They don't want to have to deal with these things. It's ugly PR, so they do the best they can to actually win these games. I think they hold those organizations like to that standard. I think that's how we should move as Detroit Lions fans as well too. And I'm with you. I think in 2021 they kind of did that in a sense where like you had that one game. I think it was just before Halloween or on Halloween. It was actually to the Eagles because of the devil. There weren't a lot of fans that didn't show up. A lot of people went. And it was the Halloween festivities. It could have been a good time. The Detroit Lions got killed. Weren't a lot of fans there. They were getting booed. Move forward on to, like, I think it was last year. And again, this is like while they're like going through that little rough stretch where they had Calvin Johnson come out at halftime for, I think it was the Ravens game. I believe so it was because of the field goal or whatever. But whatever game it was, they booed Sheila at halftime when she came out alongside while she was introducing like Calvin Johnson. But those things stick with like a good owner, I should say. Yeah, wants to like win you over in those scenarios, and I think Sheila is that. She's listened to both the players when she changed like the turf. Like she's gone out and spent the money. She's been patient with like the regime they got to. Do you want to say something real quick?
No, you can go on. You preaching right now, bro.
I think Sheila is that. I will say that. Expectations on the season though, I mean, that's another thing too. Is like what expectations do you want me to have on this being a Super Bowl roster when you come trade deadline, we're looking at teams that are truly contending, like both the 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're making moves constantly. I mean, even just as recently as Philadelphia signing Shaq Leonard from the Colts after he just got hit waivers. Like same situation with Philadelphia grabbing Kevin Byard or the Niners grabbing like Chase Young. We didn't make those moves. We didn't make those moves alongside with like true contenders.
You were one of the people preaching that at the time too. And at the time, I was one of the ones like, you know what? I think they got enough, but they literally were like one injury away from not having enough. But with Sheila, I'm so glad that you said that because I do think she's the type of owner. Now that we have that owner, that's why I believe that these expectations should be things that we voice. If we keep saying we're okay with just one playoff win, well, those are the moves that we saw them make or not make.
100. Like I don't think we should be okay with the one playoff win. I mean, like congratulate them and like kudos to Sheila, but like remind them like we want more. We want the whole damn thing. Right, we're not gonna settle for mediocrity.
Tell us about Fairway Packing.
I'll tell you guys about Fairway Pack Company because for over 6 years, we've been supplying Michigan's finest hotels, restaurants, and casinos with the finest Wagyu beef, dry aged beef, and more. Give them a call at 313-332-5114. Visit them at fairwaypacking.com. My number is all mixed up.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel. How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Syntron, baby. How would you like to win $100,000 Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. You can do that with Syntron. It's the Syntron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win. You can do that at drinksyntron.com/Vegas and buy Syntron at your local Meijer store. It's Syntron, the healthier energy drink with great taste for the people who desire to look good, feel good, and be the best versions of themselves. Go to drinksyntron.com/Vegas for more information.
What up, though? Welcome back to Woodward Heavyweights Live on Sports.com. I'm Eazy. We got Detroit Kool-Aid, my guy. A1 since day one. We got, actually, Chris, I know you before Kool-Aid.
Yeah, sure.
Not as A1, though. Not as A1, though. I hate you about this opportunity. Where are they? Oh, you're still here. You hear us? Whatever. Okay. We got JB. I just met this guy. Could be a murderer. We don't know. Very kidnappable, though. Just got to order some Dispo Dash.
Very kidnappable. One of these days, I'm going to end up kidnapping. It's going to be because,
so bad,
like, oh, it's JB. Let me throw on some wrestling here. Got Taylor Swift playing in the background. And next thing you know, oh, in somebody's basement.
They V-mix his... whatever you call it, negotiations.
Oh yeah, the ransom letter.
Yeah, the ransom letters. It's JB on VMix. Smash that like button if you guys haven't already. 5-star review on all podcast platforms. Kool-Aid brought up a great point. He just kind of mentioned, like, as fans, should we, like, raise the expectations for the Detroit Lions team? Because I agree with you. I mean, myself included. I guess I've kind of, like, that's just my expectation of them this year, is that they make the playoffs, maybe get one. And I don't see it going much further than that realistically, but maybe we should raise the expectations so that the organization raises them along with us, you know?
Yeah, as long as we got an owner that's listening like Sheila Ford Hamp does. You know, Terry Foster, man, shout out to the legend. He told us that Sheila is a little bit different, a whole lot different than her father in terms of how she wants to run the Lions, because she grew up wanting to see this team win. She grew up a fan of this team. She grew up hearing everything and feeling everything that we were saying and that we were feeling as well.
Yeah.
And I do believe that when we give ourselves the opportunity to just kind of be like, well, okay, we'll accept what the organization gives, that's a little bit different than any other time that we've been Lions fans. Every other time we said we expect better, we expect more. And that's what I think it is. And I think that the Lions players expect more. I don't think that they're sitting back just saying, you know what, we just want to win one. But I do get your this other flip side of it, is that given the personnel, given the fact that they didn't really go out there and bolster any of their weaknesses or even bolster any of their strengths realistically at the before the trade deadline, what realistically can they do? Are they set up to be able to go out there and win more than one playoff game? Are they even set up to go out there and win that one playoff game?
Yeah. I mean, and like a couple comments over Sports Chat, I believe it was Supremacy, when I saw it, he was mentioning, like, because we mentioned the Eagles and the 49ers as teams that didn't make moves, but not the other 30 teams, because they're contenders. They're actively contending for a championship. Like, the beginning of the year, that was a team you picked out and was like, yeah, I can see them win the Super Bowl. Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be in, like, one of those teams probably be in the NFC Championship game. And then he mentioned so the Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals before Burrow got hurt, Bills, Dolphins, etc. aren't contenders. The Chiefs did make a move. One of the needs for the Chiefs were wide receiver. They went and got a guy they literally won a Super Bowl with previously. They made that move. The Ravens, I don't know. They need the moves to make. The Ravens are kind of set.
They're sick, bro.
The Ravens are pretty good. The Bills, I don't know if they have cap space to make moves, but I would consider Von Miller that piece that they grabbed the year previously. Like, contenders do make moves. The Dolphins continuously made moves. They grabbed Jalen Ramsey before the season even started. That's a piece a lot of Detroit Lions fans wanted to. But to your point too, is she like wanting to, like, giving a shit. I also will point to the fact that when they were losing, she addressed the media.
Yep.
She got, like, ahead of it and was like, look, guys, like, we are. This is just the process of it. Like, these guys came in here. I mean, I love the analogy Spinney used to use. Like, you can't make a salad, or at least a good salad, with spoiled vegetables. And it's kind of what they walked into as an organization, talking about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. And the young pieces they got just weren't ripe yet. And I still feel like that's a little bit to go with this defense as well. Like, I don't know if this defense is ready to contend either, and it's not just because of AG. A lot of people want to fire AG, which listen, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. There were some things I saw in that Saints game I wasn't proud of, but, like, 7 turnovers is never gonna do your defense any justice. A little bit of like a bend don't break situation, and for being realistic about the talent level on this team, it's just not that level yet. Like, I mean, Anzalone's the one guy you for sure would say is top 10 at his position this year, and maybe Aiden. There's an argument for Aiden if you want to go off pressures and stuff like that. Outside of them, that's it. And Anzalone's there based off performance, which is obviously how you get there. But who expected that?
Yeah.
And AG's a part of that, mind you. You know, so I don't know. Chris, did you have your hand up? I apologize.
I did earlier, but you hit on it. And when it comes to the Lions and their expectation is, I think it's reflective of the front office that we've been so often told to trust, and rightfully so. This front office has been easily the best regime that the Lions have had in decades. But again, like Eazy said, they didn't make that move at the deadline. That told me what they felt about this team. That doesn't mean that the Lions fans and the community doesn't want this team to win a Super Bowl. In fact, I think you saw the outrage pointing to the fact that this team does want that. So I think it's just a reflection of where this team is currently at. And where this team is currently at is a team that can win a playoff game, that probably should win a playoff game. And that's a building block, because last year they were not the division winners. They were not a playoff team. So it is progress at the end of the day. And I think that's what Lions fans have to look at and want from this team, is as long as this regime is showing continuous progress, then you have your faith. Should every Lions fan want this team to make the NFC Championship this year? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But will they? That's a whole nother question. You know, so I don't necessarily think that, you know, Lions fans are complacent. I know they're not complacent, because they want to pay Goff. Like, they're so happy that they finally have winning, that they're just gonna throw the money at whoever's on the team when they're winning. Like,
but in some sense, it feels like they are, because like in the trade deadline show we had, where I admittedly was a bit emotional and pissed off. I think you were in the chat that time. I sent the videos screaming like a lunatic. But like, people were attacking me like they're still building. That's complacency. Like I wanted to win. I wanted to win like this year, and it felt like, I think I heard Ryan Ermanni say this a little bit earlier too. Was like, okay, this year just felt like the freaking year, man. It's felt like the freaking year.
You gotta take advantage of your windows, because football, things can change drastically from season to season. You can have certain types of progress, but in reality, those are teams that I think are a little bit more built up than the Lions.
Yes.
And I do believe that if the Lions prove themselves to be something a little bit more, they could attract a lot more. And that's what you have to do in the NFL, is you have to put yourself on that pedestal. And what your comments do, Chris, they make me start to question and wonder, well, what was the organization's expectation? Was it to go out there and win as many games as they could in the playoffs? Or was it just, hey, you know what? We think this is where we are for right now. We'll just kind of let this be for right now.
Yeah.
And then maybe next year we'll try and go out and try and win then 2 playoff games. It's like, when you start getting into all that corporate money, don't believe me. If you can go and you can get it done this year, whether it's win 1, 2 playoff games, make the NFC Championship, go out there and do it. Because when they step to that podium, they want us all to believe that they're doing their best. That's what they want us to believe. Yeah. They're saying, hey, listen, we're going out there to field a team that you guys can be proud of. But now we have to sit here and say, well, since the organization didn't really see it that way, then we're just okay with 1 playoff win.
Yeah, and I think a point I want to make on too is like, I feel like Campbell and obviously they're in agreement, because they spoke that, at least Brad Holmes did at the press conference like following the trade deadline. But it's like he had mentioned that they were kind of like set in their phases, they should say. And it just felt like they're still like in the rebuild phase when he had that comment to make. But you also, on the other hand, have Dan Campbell, who's going to like want to win and do all he can with what he has no matter what. But I just feel like when you're just that close, man, I mean, just take the extra step.
Just push it over the edge.
Yeah, because I mean, in some ways too, you can look at the draft class. It was a tell of like the phase they were in the rebuild phase. Like they are ahead of a schedule by every means. And shout out to Dan Campbell, shout out to Ben Johnson, and AG too for like helping that become a thing, because it is remarkable, because I don't think they thought they'd be at this point this year. I really don't, because if not, as much as I love the pick, I don't think Hendon Hooker would have been there, which maybe you do either way, because that was an opportunity to grab somebody in case you can't re-sign Goff.
Yeah.
But I don't think Hendon Hooker would have been a pick. I don't think he would have traded up for Broderick Martin. There's just 2 things with Broderick Martin. Either it was a straight up miss, or it's what you're selling us on him being a developmental piece.
Yeah, a project player.
But if he's a project player, 1, I just feel like round 3 is a little bit early to be drafting project players. 2, if you're grabbing project players, then maybe you aren't expecting to contend this year, like heading into the season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I guess like that's where I am with the Broderick Martin stuff, and then so on and so forth. The trade deadline hits. It's like the telltale sign from like the GM's moves. Your actions speak louder than words, right? The actions they've taken just tell me they didn't really contend, or they didn't plan on contending this season. Chris?
And my follow-up to that would be, maybe, and this is a whole nother conversation in and of itself, but hasn't this recent Lions skid, if you want to call it that, these losses combined with just these wins that were not as impressive, does that prove that the front office was right in their assessment of this team? And and if so, that's a tough reality for a lot of Lions fans to
That's
accept.
fair.
But
that is fair, because like there's I saw this comment, and I think this one is probably the most legit argument to like when I did want to Chase Young or whoever the hell, Leonard Williams. I mean, looking at Liam McNeil, obviously can't predict injuries, but imagine we at least have Leonard Williams still in the situation where Liam got hurt. But that makes sense because it is more than one piece, I think, to get us over that hump. So that is a fair assessment.
This is the other question. This is the other part of it, though. You know, are they still positioned to win that one playoff game that we expected before the injury started to set in? Because before, when they didn't make a move, they weren't necessarily as injury-ridden as they are right now. And we had hoped that James Houston was going to be back. We had hoped that CJ is going to be back. But Aleem, some of this offensive line, it's looking a little shaky. Are they still in position to go into the playoffs, no matter who they play, and win that playoff game?
Man, that's the other thing too, man. I mean, like, I get they did make the moves to like address like the secondary, both with drafting Brian Branch, with signing CJ. You signed Emmanuel Mosley. I saw a comment in the Woodward Sports chat. You can't predict the Emmanuel Mosley injury. When you look at Emmanuel Mosley's track record, it's kind of full of injuries. Granted, I guess you still can't predict those things, whatever. But he had went down. DJ had went down before the trade deadline. So you still could have addressed like the depth situation. And then when it comes to like wanting to do something this year, guys, Amon-Ra's getting paid this summer. Like, I know he has that 4th year, but he's his 5th round pick. The fine he just got was his whole game check, essentially. It was like a $44,000 fine, a $47,000 fine. His game check was around like $53K.
He got a case to get paid now.
He's going to get a $100 million deal. You're talking about re-signing Goff this very same next season. Like this, guys.
Adds up quick.
It adds up quick. It adds up quick. And that's why it's felt like this year was your year for the home run swing. On top of this, Jordan Love looks fucking scary as of late. I don't know if he's going to continue to be that. What we've seen that recently.
Man, some of them passes against the Lions when Baldy was doing the breakdown, I was just like, this is stupid.
P1 could tell me fire AG. Are you not watching the throws this man is making? With the defenders wrapped around the receiver's waist, you could have thrown a flag on half these damn plays, and they're still just on a fucking dime, man.
Bro,
outdueled Patrick Mahomes with Travis Kelce. Listen, he's starting to scare me. And cheap deal. They're a cheap organization. I don't think they re-up like they could, like they should. What do we got to do next, Chris?
Why don't you tell us about Hamlin?
Definitely, man. Hey, look, have you ever wanted a bar where you are a regular? We have just the place for you. Head to one of Hamlin Pub's 7 locations and experience where everyone's a regular. Whether you're enjoying half-off pizza on a Thursday or game day specials available during all Michigan sports and NFL games, Hamlin Pub is the place. Visit a location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
BullseyeEventGroup.com is where you guys need to go to purchase your tickets for all you can eat, all you can drink, and a free shout out to the game. Make sure you go to BullseyeEventGroup.com and purchase those tickets. Sponsored by Long Drink. And for a chance to win some for free, DM Lions VIP to Woodward Sports IG. Buongiorno. Welcome back to Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. Mom, Eazy. That's Detroit Kool-Aid. We got young Chris and Titty Boo and a very kidnappable human being named JB Smooth on the 1s and 2s. Do not kidnap him, though, because we need him.
Yeah.
If you guys watch Monday, we need the sound people.
Yeah.
They're hard to come by. Shout out to a vet in the Woodward Sports Chat, our guy Adam Baydoun. Did he mention something about what we're talking about, or he just talking about you being a black guy? I didn't know Kool-Aid was
I
black.
think that's all he said.
Shout out to Adam Baydoun, man.
Shout out. All right, guys. We kind of, I guess, discussing where the Detroit Lions are at, where we should be at as fans. After that conversation, what are your expectations, real quick? I guess.
Oh, I told you I was calling myself out too. I just want to play off win, bro.
You still
playoff win. I mean, when you look at everything that went on, Chris brought up a good point. The organization kind of set the table. They kind of set the stage for the expectations. It's like we should still always, as fans, hold our teams, especially when it's due, to an expectation. Because think about it. The only reason why now we're saying, hey, let's do a playoff win, who was saying that before the trade deadline? Nobody. But now after the trade deadline, they didn't really go out there and do anything to shore up a solid team that could go out there and win multiple playoff games or even secure the number 1 seed. They didn't really do those things. They had an opportunity. But now when I'm looking at this squad right now, we have to talk about the roster at hand. We got to talk about all of the injuries that I have to deal with at hand right now, and the fact that even though you could get James Houston back, even though you can get CJ GJ back, it doesn't mean they're going to be at game speed. I feel like they're going to be gassed when they get out there, man. Yeah. So now we're sitting here, and that's why I asked you the question, like, are they even positioned to win that one playoff game? So now I'm like, go out there and at least win that one and give yourself an opportunity in the second one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. I've always wanted that too because, like, in one hand, selfishly, I have high expectations and really, really want James Houston to come back ASAP, like a T.I. song.
Gosh, man.
But as you said, I mean, he's coming back from like an injury that held. I mean, what was a broken ankle? I believe it was like the actual
something like that.
JB, we pull up the actual injury for James Houston. I'm pretty sure it was broken ankle or something like that. But on top of like rehabbing back to like just walking normal, you need rehab back to like being a top tier NFL player. I mean, I think it's a lot to ask for a guy that's only his second year who didn't even make the initial roster last season. And even when start year 2, they still kind of use him sparingly as well. And a lot of people were mad at AG about that come that Seattle game. And they ended up getting hurt on the special teams play. I just feel like a lot to expect and ask of him.
I forgot about that.
Coming back from that injury.
Teams,
plus to mention just the way he twerks his body and like uses his bed.
Like that big booty twerk.
That wasn't pause. That wasn't
Torque?
pause.
Torque? Was torque the word?
It's fractured ankle, by the way.
The way he dropped that ass long on.
And that was on special teams?
That bend.
Yeah, that bend.
Week 2, so yeah.
Yeah. So fractured ankle?
Yeah, fractured ankle.
So not as bad as broken ankle. But I feel bad for those expectations on. Now, I got to understand, though, too, is like watching them go through this process kind of with Bruce Irvin. They let him get his sea legs under him, his football legs under him before putting him in the game, and he produced. By the way, he has a minor ankle injury, too. I don't know if you saw that.
Gosh, I saw that, man.
Mispractice.
It's like a week after everybody was hyped up. Look, man, because, you know, I'm also on the social team.
Yes.
Was able to put together this graphic and ask people, yo, what did you think about Bruce Irvin's performance? Because before that,
Funky Bruce.
There was a lot of people who were like, we don't know really what he's going to do. He's old.
The guy sitting in your chair was hating on him. Yeah.
And then he went out there, and I captioned it, man. People were mad at me like, oh, it's gross that you guys are making light of the situation that he injured a quarterback. I'm like, man, get out of here, bro. This is football.
Yeah.
He had a sack. He had a QB hit and a QB knockout, man. That's exactly how I captioned it. I mean, because it's the truth, man. It's the truth.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And that thing took off, bro. You want to talk about over 2,000 likes in less than a day, 200,000 views. That's almost double, the two and a half times how many followers we got. People were in love with what Bruce Irvin brought in just 11 snaps, bro.
That's crazy.
And now he's hurt and nursing potentially some type of an ankle injury. Mm-hmm. Gosh, man. It's like as soon as we got at least a little bit of something, we were like, cool. And all of a sudden, he's gonna probably need a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think I did read something from Justin Rogers that he's still gonna play though. So I mean, there's that. And honestly, I gotta be honest too. Like missing Aleem does hurt like hell because he plays well on the run, and he was coming too as a bit of a pass rusher. I can't say that he wasn't anything consistently enough because every single week we're bitching about having somebody else like next to Aiden to help him because he's able to get triple teamed and no one wins their one-on-one. So like I don't want to give him too much credit as a pass rusher, but he was a body. But I do think having Bruce kind of alleviates the pressure of missing Aleem. Like I know Aleem is a name people fall in love with, and we got to watch him. I mean, since his rookie year, and he's part of the Brad Holmes like first draft class. So, like we love seeing him out there, but I don't necessarily know. I think it's going to hamper us in the run game, but in the pass rushing game, I think they'll still be straight a little bit because of Bruce Irvin. Like, he is a guy, obviously, like, the offensive line is going to be aware of. And just 11 snaps, like, as you said, a QB a sack and a QB knockout. And you said people find it distasteful. When we talked about Herman Moore on Monday, like, following that game. When I mentioned it, he cracked a smile because, like, that football's a violent sport. And, like,
look, he didn't do nothing dirty to him. I thought even the flag. I thought the flag was a little weak. What hurt him was not the little kind of pile underneath. And if this was just a play where he hit him, picked him up, and dropped him, cool.
Yeah.
He launched and he hit the quarterback square in his chest.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he supposed to go but forward onto the quarterback? Like that was me. It was like he stuck him. And for us personally, have we seen a hit like that on a quarterback all year from this Detroit Lions defense? Now we've seen Brian Branch from the DB spot go out there and smack people like that. But have we, and Tracy Walker, but on our defensive line, have we seen anybody this year with as nasty a hit as that one on anybody this year? That's what I'm saying. Like, that to me is necessary and needed. And if he can continue to do this, if they can, continue to manage his, his snaps, get him a little bit more, but obviously he ain't gonna be able to go out there and play like a starter, full force.
36 years old.
He should be able to free up some aspect of Aiden Hutchinson because how do you Bruce Irvin looked like a guy who was not going to be blocked? That's just what he looked like. That means that you're going to have to skew your coverage just a little bit different. All these extra chips, because people are like, yo, Aiden Hutchinson's being single covered. Man, they're running a second and a third chip at him.
3 people, we broke it down in the show. The Packers, rookie tight end, they started off with, they literally pulled their center on a passing play, which if you played football at any level, you know that's not heard of. And then they also brought over A.J. Dillon. Like 3 human beings. So this is what I'm thinking, too. Now that Bruce is there, let's get freaky with the blitzes. I like the way Brian Branch is able to blitz. I like the way that Tracy Walker is able to blitz. Let's blitz somebody from Aiden's side if that's what these teams are going to do. Throwing like 3 different protections at us, like, and I don't know, and like maybe I'll watch back the New Orleans game. I don't know if they did that as well, but I feel like do it more.
It makes sense,
right?
It makes sense.
If there's already 3 guys working on one dude, or blitz from the other side. If you know the tension's over there, all the extra help is going towards Aiden's side, and this is where I can start to turn the page and like point the finger to AG
right
a bit.
Behind Irvin.
Yes. Right? Because if all the extra tension's over there next to Aiden, and you have Irvin who's able to beat his guy one-on-one, and you just have the right tackle solely focused on Irvin because of that reason, come on, Rook. Come on, BB. B2 Bomber, or whatever nickname you want to use for him, Brian Branch. Come put in some dirty work. Because he can lay the boom a little bit there, too. And we know damn sure Tracy Walker lay the boom as well.
Yeah.
So that's where I start to point the finger at the AG a little bit. I'm not even going to, like, emphasis a little bit, because after the New Orleans game, I do feel a type of way about that defense. Previous games, the turnovers, I can't really shit on him for that. Like, that's you're putting your defense in a tough position.
Yeah.
One, just like short yardage field. I'm sorry, a favorable field position for the offense, the other team's opposing offense.
Yeah.
On top of that, too, just breaks. Like you're not getting a break out there. The ball's constantly getting turned over. On top of, like, again, we had the conversation about talent.
Yep.
But we do have some numbers, actually, Chris, if you want to pull them up. This is from our guy Mike Payton, if you want to put that one up first as a tweet. Because he wanted to give some context to the Detroit Lions defense and it not being as bad as some people are making it out to be. So he did a little side-by-side here with the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the best record in the NFL. And the numbers aren't that different. And I think this is from, the last 5 games, it says, Chris?
Yes, last 5 games.
You mind reading off some of those numbers?
Yeah, so they yards allowed, the Lions are 500 less than the Eagles. Points allowed, the Lions are 24 less than the Eagles. Passing yards allowed, they're about just under 500 less yards allowed. Passing touchdowns, 6 less allowed. Rushing yards, about 60 less allowed. Rushing touchdowns allowed, they've allowed 2 more rushing touchdowns. And they've turned the ball over the same amount of times, same amount of sacks, and what are called explosive plays, which I don't know what defines that.
Like 20 yards or more, I'm pretty sure.
But, I was going to guess 20 or 30 yards or more. The Lions have allowed 14 less of those than the Eagles.
Wow.
So all of those numbers except rushing touchdowns have been in favor of the Lions.
Now, I will say this, though, to give some context. And Mike's my guy, so I wasn't commenting underneath it and put him on blast like that. But the Eagles' last 5 opponents versus the Lions, you got the Eagles talking about the 49ers, the Bills before that, the Chiefs before that, Cowboys before that, and then the Commanders would be like the team you'd expect them to like whoop on, obviously. But like Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, half those teams are contenders, let alone like winning teams versus what we've been playing, not the same.
Man, that Cowboys game is going to be real telling for the Lions.
Yes, it is. I am looking forward to that one more than any other game, and I hope that we at least have Frank back, because I really want to see. I guess you can't really depend on like what your roster you're going to have in the playoffs, because this is the National Football League. Injuries are going to happen, but it's definitely going to be a telltale sign, I think, especially for this defense too. Because I get Dak's having the MVP season, and I get that defense looks dominant over there in Dallas, but look at their schedule. It is very similar to ours, if not more cupcakes, because they play the Giants twice. The teams they've dominated. I mean, actually, I pulled it up right now because they lost to the Cardinals. Obviously, they lost to the Eagles as well. But yeah, the Giants twice, the Panthers, Chargers, who we beat. The 49ers beat the dog shit out of them. It's part of my French. The Patriots. Like, they're not really playing like the best of teams. And when they got to play it, I think they might end up playoffs, the Seahawks, or at least their playoff caliber team, 35-41. And the refs kind of blessed them in that Thursday night game too. So I don't think the Cowboys are as hyped up as they're made to be. I think they're a very beatable team, especially with our style of play. The 49ers whooped the shit out of them, pounding the ball. That's what we do best. I think we got the best like running duo in the league, if I'm being honest with you, which is beautiful to say, honestly. Chris, what read we got to do next?
The next read we have is Planet Fitness. Kool-Aid, tell us about Planet Fitness.
Hey, let's rock, man. Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
When it comes to your pet, don't settle. Give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supplies, hands down, Michigan's best pet store. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations. Over 60 brands of food. Lowest prices and curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
Buongiorno. Welcome back to What Waits Live on WoodSports.com. I'm Eazy, Detroit Kool-Aid. I usually mess up because I'm so rehearsing, going like my name, Spinny. And I always mess up whoever's the sound booth. Kool-Aid's
I don't know why it's always the sound booth for you.
I think it's because the last one. I was rushing to get there, maybe. I don't know. But I'm Eazy, Detroit Kool-Aid, Young Chris, JB Smooth. Smash that like button, be a friend, tell a friend, share the stream. Young Kidnap. That'd be a good one, except for JB's 40 years old. I'm playing.
Hey, somebody in the chat had a good point, actually. Why is it called kidnapping when you're an adult?
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that. Adult napping? This sounds like you're taking a
Yeah,
nap.
yeah, it does.
That's already a
naps
thing.
sound lit.
Also, kidnapping maybe just a
Adult
alarm.
naps. Adult naps. That's what mommy and daddy do when the kids.
Hey, yo, relax.
It's a kids program.
Y'all seeming
family
real
program.
recklessly up there right now.
Jeez. And also, by the way, it's taken, not kidnapped. So you just got taken.
Yeah, I think kidnapping is more alarming too. Like you hear kids like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Taken is like to where? Where'd they go?
Abducted.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
Maybe.
go. That's
Abducted. I think that's All right, so easily abductable. JB Smooth.
Still getting kidnapped here.
Smash that like button. Be a friend. Tell a friend. The Morning Woodward Show had a great conversation going on. The Italiano was coming out of our guy Jeff Iafredi. He gets heated. He gets heated. And that's I think the most contentious I've seen him get with Sam. At least I don't watch the whole show every day, obviously, but that conversation about head coach of the year, and Jeff had took the side of Dan Campbell, where I didn't get to listen to the whole segment, and JB, you were there, but it sounded like Sam was more on the side of Shane Steichen.
Yeah,
and D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, Shane Steichen and D'Amico Ryans was his basically 1 and 2. Dan Campbell came in at 3 for him for coach of the year.
I think that makes sense. In my trip, I mean, like, talking about coach of the year, right? So it's like the guy who, I mean, what was coach of the year mean to you, Kool-Aid? I guess, like, in a sense.
I think I'm just too biased in this one, man. Because like what Dan Campbell is doing right now, we've had some pretty good coaches here. I think some decent coaches here in the past. What he's able to do right now with what I view a little less talent than some of these coaches before. He has his team in position to win the division. He has his team in position to at least win a playoff game. And I know that doesn't necessarily count towards, coach of the year. But at least for me, man, everything that he's doing, isn't this – it seems like they've given coaches this award for a little less in the past. I think that this is the year that Dan Campbell has gone out there and absolutely proven that he's a lot better coach than anybody gave him credit for. Man, when he first was hired here, people were talking about him being a meathead. People were sitting here talking about the fact that he's not intelligent. People were sitting out here talking about he's not necessarily the best or brightest of coaches. And he's come out here and he's absolutely proven that he can hang. And I do believe that if this team goes out there and wins this division, that he's stated his case. It's the Lions winning the NFC North. I don't care what you think about any of the other talent here in this division. The reason why these other teams this year in the NFC North are looking the way that they are, partly is going to be due to how good the Lions are, because they play each of these teams twice. I believe that is worth something, man. That's just me.
For me, coach of the year is the guy that's kind of just overcoming like expectations, both with like their roster, both like just heading to the season. A guy who's literally taking a team from the bottom of the barrel to the cream of the crop, or at least like enough to be in the playoffs. I think Coach of the Year should be in the playoffs. Like that's what stopped Dan Campbell from getting it last year. Had the Detroit Lions made the playoffs, because don't get it twisted. If the Eagles won the NFC East last year. However, Brian Daboll still walked away with Coach of the Year. I think that could still be the same situation this year with either, because the AFC South is close. Both Shane Steichen and D'Amico Ryans, I think, host like a 7-5 record, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the guys getting Coach of the Year, in my opinion, just because you're going from worst to first in those divisions. And I guess not first because the Jaguars there, which that might change now with Trevor Lawrence injury. We don't know. But it's like the Texans had the second worst team in the NFL last year. Yeah, you can point to him having like a good quarterback in C.J. Stroud, but it's a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud. I think even more than the D'Amico Ryans, and I'm biased, I just like D'Amico Ryans, I think you point to Shane Steichen for head coach of the year. This guy's same record as D'Amico Ryans and a possible playoff berth with freaking Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position for the Indianapolis Colts. And then you look at the wide receivers, you have Pittman Jr. after that. You had the situation with Taylor. He's been in and out all season. Sat out and then had the injury, came back, now he's out again. He's putting in work with Zach Moss. The Colts have a win. You talk about the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. Listen, I think if he won Coach of the Year, it would have been last year. Because the expectations heading into this season were that the Detroit Lions were going to win. The Detroit Lions were a good team heading into this season. Like, people knew that. We didn't see the Colts coming this year. We didn't see the Texans coming here. I will give my guy Spinney a nod because he did call it. He said the Texans will do something this year. But Shane Steichen, you talk about the Detroit. That's what I'm going with, actually. I apologize. Detroit Lions against teams above 500 or against like teams going to the playoffs, no wins. Except for, like I said, the Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers end up like finishing above 500. Shane Steichen beat the freaking Ravens the team that beat the dog shit out of us with the Colts. Like that's hella impressive. I mean, that's a tremendous feat. I think they didn't beat the Browns, but I know they had the shootout with the Browns, which are also like a good team, borderline like playoff team. Put up 30 points on them, which is one of the top defenses in the league. Like Shane Steichen, I don't want him to be coach of the year, but like that's the coach of the year. You know what I'm saying, Chris? I saw you get there. I apologize.
Yeah, because I feel like you're hitting all the points that I want to get to, and that I feel like Dan Campbell has almost a better case last year than he did this year because of talking about the expectations and where that team placed. Now, I agree with you. Ultimately, I respect that he didn't get it because at the end of the day, he wasn't on a playoff team. But if you just step back and after last season asked us what the Lions would be 12, 13 games into the season, isn't this about what you'd expect the Lions to be? So this is a coach that, now I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be a coach of the year finalist, because I think he does, because I think what Kool-Aid talked about also does matter. You know, the history of the Lions and that working against this organization. So I do think that does matter. But again, expectations, I'm with you, Eazy. That's where it's at to me. Did you overachieve? So I think Dan Campbell should be a coach of the year finalist, and hell, I wouldn't even be mad if you chose him. But ultimately, I feel like he's, you know, a top 3-4 candidate, just like he was last year, because this year he's doing a good job with the team. He's got them right where they were expected to be. Remember, in the offseason, this was a team that Vegas, the most money was on them to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like, this is a team that had actual expectations this year. And for a good portion of the year, we were having conversations about, can this team be a number 1 seed in the NFC? So I think Dan Campbell has done a good job. I'm not trying to diminish what he's done, but I think that this team is relatively where we expected after last season. So I feel like his case last year almost would have been better, but he's still a great coach, still one of the top coaches in the NFL.
Kool-Aid?
Yeah, but that's the thing. So then it takes us back to earlier. What is our expectation then? Because if this season was as it started, then they should be winning 2 playoff games this year. If we know that Brad Holmes did not really hook him up with everything that he needed, and he's had to coach this team through how many injuries to his starters, and he's held them where? Right about the expectation line, that to me should be worth something. Not just, oh yeah, he's a good coach. We knew that coming into the season. But did we know he was going to coach this team up through a lot of the injuries that they were going to have and still say, we're going to go out there and win this division? People are talking about, man, they barely beat this team. They barely beat that team. They're facing a kind of an uphill battle with some of this stuff to some pretty key starters, man. We're sitting here right now hoping that James Houston comes back and plays this really, really, really important role. Why? Because we know exactly how bleak it is for this squad. That's what, to me, speaks some volumes as well. Not that these other coaches don't deserve it as well. Like I'm not even saying this to like this Steichen. I'm not even saying this to this D'Amico. I'm saying this because I think that effectively Dan Campbell has found himself in a position to where he was not coaching to the expectation anymore. Now he was having to find a way to coach to keep this team at the expectations that were set at the beginning of the season with, honestly, a less talented roster than what he started with. And I think that deserves a second look.
Honestly, that is the best argument I've heard all day for Dan Campbell as coach of the year. I think there has been like key injuries on this Lions team throughout this season. And I don't know if you factor those in when you make those predictions, but that is a great point. But then I start thinking, the gears got to turn in my head. You got Jonathan Taylor over there that missed the first quarter of the season, out again. And again, they beat the Colts during that time. D'Amico Ryans be my second place guy, and only because Shane Steichen beat him too. But then, you got Jonathan Taylor, key guy for them. Shaq Leonard, who they ended up just waving off the team altogether, not on that team. And then the guy who was their starting quarterback at the beginning of the season, Anthony Richardson. I mean, I look at I can't think of his name. Their quarterback right now, Gardner Minshew. On their starting for them right now, he was on the Eagles. He was backup quarterback for the Eagles last year. I don't think he cashed in a single win with that roster. And that kind of discredited an argument that I had when it came to like just surrounding certain guys with insane amount of talent. You're going to cash in a couple W's. I got to correct myself now, but I don't think Gardner Minshew cashed in a single W with the Eagles last year. Starting for them those few games he did. So for me, it's still Steichen. Obviously, I'm Dan Campbell's stand. So if he does win,
that ain't hate.
I ain't hating on it at all.
Yeah. I think it's well stated. I think you and Chris made great arguments for the case, not necessarily against Dan Campbell, but for some other deserving coaches.
If the Lions cash in a 2 seed or a 1 seed, then
we're talking.
So, so the window's still open then?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the window is not closed on that. But, Kua, why don't you tell us about where you do want to close up those windows and have some good defense, Guardian Alarm.
Guardian Alarm that can help JB from being kidnapped, right? It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, man. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800 Stay out.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Guys, Dispo Dispensary is your local cannabis plug because there's 12 locations across the great state of Michigan. They got the best curated cannabis in the game by all major labels and names. Make sure you check them out. It's Dispo Dispensary. And if you can't make it there, visit Dispo Shops, DISPOshops.com for Dispo Dash. They'll deliver it right to your door. JB might actually be there. And very abductable. So leave him a tip.
Abductable.
Smash that like button. 5-star review on our podcast platforms. Appreciate you guys sticking around, hanging out with myself, Detroit Kool-Aid, Young Chris, JB Smooth, talking a lot of Lions. We just got done talking about his Dan Campbell, head coach of the year. I definitely think he's the head coach of the year material. If the season ended today, I'm giving it to Steichen. All due respect. However, speaking of Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. Actually, I'll let you pick who. I know we talked about it during the break, but do you want to talk about the Lions versus Bears, or do you want to go into like your?
We'll go Lions versus Bears, man. And then as we get closer to the Dumpster Bowl, which is the follow-up to the Trash Bowl, was what, Wizards and Pistons. Now we got Pistons and Grizzlies. They got a second chance tonight to really go out there and get a W. We'll do that a little closer to game time.
All right, deal. I'm down for that. Detroit Lions at Chicago. I'm hearing the weather's for sure at least below 50. There might be some precipitation around the way down there in Chicago as well, on the road, against a team that, one, I think a lot of people forget now, they're coming off a bye week. 2, have a very recent memory of a win they let slip through their hands.
Yeah.
And not even just that one, too. You could also go back to the last time the Detroit Lions played Chicago last year. With, I think it was Jeff Okuda's pick 6 that kind of saved our asses in that one. I think that game-winning touchdown, too, from Jamal Williams. But either way, this team is looking to whoop some ass. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears getting the revenge game back in the Detroit Lions. How you feeling about this one?
You know what, man? If they would have honestly gone out there and put away the Packers, I probably feel a little less concerned. But honestly, this is one of those things where it's like, go out there and handle your business. Because the Packers game does exist, because the Saints game does exist, I'm hoping that the Lions go out there, scheme something up to be able to put a stop to this. Realistically, man, it's...
No Aleem. I forgot about that part.
Goodness gracious, man. Goodness. Man, this one got me thinking a little bit, but, you know, because of the elements, because it's outdoors, because it's in Chicago at this time of year, it's going to be a little bit colder. There's going to be some concern with what Jared Goff is going to be able to do, especially with the turnover issues that have kind of popped up over the last few weeks for him. But if this team is serious, if this team still has expectations of winning a playoff game, then you know what? Go out there and put the Bears away, and don't let the foot off the gas. I don't know what the Lions are doing when they get up on these teams, but I want to see them just go out there, kind of like how was it the Saints one year in the playoffs, where they didn't punt one time. They just continue unrelentingly to just say, we are putting you away and we're going to bury you, and then we're going to just build a little mound of dirt over where we buried you as well, just to make sure that you guys know. Like, that's what I really want to see from the Lions. I don't know if it's because they believe they have a lack of personnel, or if it's they don't want to blow their whole bag of tricks, or if it's just what NFL teams do. We get up and then we start to play a different brand of offense to try and melt this clock away. But the Lions against the Saints were running into times where they were, all right, we're up, let's run the ball 3 times in a row, and then we're just punting it because they couldn't even muster up 6 yards over those 3 runs. I know it's a strength of ours, but realistically, man, I want to see this team go out there, and if Goff has it going, I want to see them go out there and put the Bears away. If they get up on them early, put them away and keep punching until the game is over. I don't want to see them just kind of, we can kind of play the ropes. I don't want to see that, man.
Yeah.
Put them on the ropes and put them out the ring.
Yeah, I kind of with you actually a little bit there, because like, in one hand, you do have the ugly performance against the Bears at home, but when you look outside of the turnovers, the Detroit Lions are able to move the ball like really well. And I know this is Chicago's Bears team that ranks really well against the run. But we talked about it a couple weeks ago on the pregame show with Jeff and everyone. We kind of looked at, I'm a big context guy. Like, you tell me a team is like 5th in the league at stopping the run, okay, let me go look at who they played. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll get the real story. Like, what running backs have you really played to like earn that 5th overall spot, right? So like, and doing that little bit of homework against Chicago, they really didn't play any running backs. And obviously, the Detroit Lions, I still think David Montgomery got like 60-some yards on them. I know Gibbs got his little 40 yards. They ultimately abandoned the run because they had to pass the ball so much to get back in that game. Yep. But even in that situation, they were able to run the ball in that 2-minute drill, which I thought was brilliant, by the way, from Ben Johnson. I think offensively, we should be able to bring it. The one thing that I guess kind of makes me nervous about that is, although they're not the best run defense that they're made out to be, on paper at least, I do think missing Frank Ragnow, I still think they're respectable, but they're just not like what they're being made out to be on paper. And another thing too is
fair.
No Frank Ragnow. We watched that offense, as you said, against New Orleans Saints grow very, very stale. It was, and like our bread and butter, which is that run game, they weren't able to do in that second half of the game. Really, it was very disappointing. I had thankfully that 30-yard scamper he had while Frank was healthy. Talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, I still able to hit my prop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That one, but. They weren't really able to move the ball consistently and win a streak. And again, that's a team, the Saints, talking about ranking against the run, they ranked 23rd against the run. They're not a good run defense. So it's like, we made them look good at that without Frank. Does make me nervous about heading into this game, because the run's going to be very prevalent for this team to beat the Chicago Bears if the weather is as it's predicted to be. I'm talking about cold, because say what you want about Goff, I tell you guys he's a good quarterback. But situation was not good outside.
It's the elements.
Yeah. He's not the best out there.
Yeah.
And the Ravens game example of that this year too. And then you have the fact, you guys want to fire AG? Justin Fields, he had a day against the Detroit Lions defense last time out. And again, they're coming off a bye week, so any mistakes they may have made in that game, they're probably gonna look to correct, because it's a fairly recent game too. One that loss, I know, is burning them.
Yep.
Because the way they lost it is embarrassing. They got clowned. They've been clowned all offseason by our fans. Shout out to you guys. Fuck the Bears. But I think this is a game they're hungry for. I mean, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown in the draft. FTB, baby. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the draft. Like, with the Lions fans.
Yeah.
Goes over the Bears. Like, they're I think still, it's fuck the Bears till the day I die. But if I'm being realistic, man, I am nervous about the Detroit Lions in this one, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, look, man, I'd rather you be honest about it, too. That's why I was like, you know what? All of these factors that are kind of piling up against the Lions, it looks like they're supposed to have a rough time here. But we've seen this team realistically go out there, at least early in the season, and have some big successes because of the offense as well.
Yeah.
I know what the elements are, but at some point in time, if this team is a serious team about one that Chris said earlier, you want to see progress from year to year to year, then let's at least see the incremental progress in season with a team that's not going to the playoffs in the Bears. Go out there and prove that you belong in the playoffs. Go out there and prove that you did not back into the division title, because the Packers are getting hot right now as we've kind of cooled a little bit, I guess, to some degree. It's still weird to say that because it's 9-3. They've had like one loss a quarter in this season. But don't back into this division win. Don't back into the playoffs like that, man. Go out there and realistically prove that you belong to be one of those top teams and be looked at as one of those top teams in the NFL. That's what I'm hoping that the Lions do in this game. I want to see Goff go out there and honestly bury and put away some of these skeletons, man, some of these demons, the turnover bug. And I said this before the Morning Woodward show, too, that I would be a little bit more concerned with Goff if it was just blatant and errant interceptions. But it's the fumbles. I feel like those are a little bit easier to clean up because it's not necessarily pointing to him as a quarterback having accuracy issues, him as a quarterback not being able to read the defense. Some of those turnovers were wrong routes, tip passes at the line, things of that nature. So if he can go out there and honestly take care of the football, I believe that the Lions have a great opportunity to go out there and win. Because if they think about those two games where they had those interceptions or the turnovers, especially the Packers game, if they don't have those turnovers, man, I honestly don't think we're sitting here talking about that even being a loss. I'm just being for real with you. So I know the elements are going to play some type of role with Jared Goff. They always do. But it's time to just put that away, man. It's time to put that away. They did go out to the Chargers, obviously, a little bit different elements, but it was outdoors, was
got a
open
thing
roof.
over that stadium, too. It's just like,
So it's just...
Or did they remove the roof on that one? Can you remove the roof on that one, or just like the open canopy thing over at SoFi?
I'm not actually 100% sure.
I want to check that place out. That place looks dope.
But I don't know, man. I just want to see Goff go out there. And honestly, when you're talking about going into the playoffs, it's about what your quarterback is doing. That's going to be your number one. That is the paid player on the squad. That is the player that we're talking about. Hey, if they're going to re-up, this is the guy that should get that bag. Go out there and prove it, man. Go out there and prove it. At the very least, take care of the football. The fumbles cannot happen. I can live with an interception or two. We've seen Goff go out there this year, get an interception, and then come right back and then dot, touchdown. We've seen that. So the interceptions, they don't really worry me as much. But if you're giving them the ball, at their 20, at their 30, that's just a recipe for disaster because our defense cannot stay on the field that long and play successful defense drive after drive after drive after short field after short field after short field. That's a recipe for a loss that they can't really take right now.
That's another thing too. Is like I don't know what to expect out of this defense. I mean, I got a comment by Chef Talks NFL says if AG doesn't have a comprehensive game plan to stop Fields this time around, do the rumbles start to pick up? I'm not saying that the players just don't execute. I'm saying that the game plan sucks. That's the thing though too, Chef. Going back and watching the Chicago Bears game, like at some point we have to admit when these quarterbacks are having good games. I get the division opponents, and I get that we're Lions fans in the day, but like. Going back to the Jordan Love game, the second time around in Ford Field, he was balling. Going back to the Chicago game, Justin Fields was balling. Like, there were blitzes in place. This guy literally had jumped up, threw the ball to DJ Moore. Then DJ Moore goes on to break tackles and goes for like a first down run. I don't know what to expect out of Goff in this one. I do think you have a great point, though, with the turnovers. One was knocked away at the line of scrimmage. And the other one was, I think Sam Laporta got bumped off a route. And the other one was just, he messed up. That was on him. And the fumbles, like, hopefully he's not in a situation where he's trying to scramble or at least getting sacked. Like, that's – and you guys think I'm a Goff hater, but I've been really realistic about those turnovers, but they're just not his friend.
He still has to protect the ball. That's on him. Regardless.
We'll continue to break this one as the week goes on. We come back, a little bit of dumpster bowl action. But we got to talk about first, Chris.
Lady Jane's.
Hey, come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tourney. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing, At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Feldman is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer with over 18 locations of Feldman in your backyard. Just go to feldmanauto.com to find the one closest to you. And also, check out Feldman and Woodward Sports live every other Monday at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. What up, though? Welcome back to Woodward Heavyweights live on woodwardsports.com. I'm Eazy. We got Detroit Kool-Aid in the building. Young Chris, JB Smooth. We recently talked about the Chicago Bears versus Detroit Lions matchup a little bit there. Feeling a little iffy. This is going to be a tough one to call. That's... I think it was Dan Campbell who mentioned earlier today. It's like weather is like the great equalizer. Like you find out who you are. Everyone's playing in the same. Like you can't just do the razzle dazzle passing plays. It's like man versus man, and who messes up least. But
man ball.
Speaking of messing up least,
that's the storyline.
That's the storyline of the dumpster bowl tonight at Little Caesars. Is it at Little Caesars Arena?
Yeah.
You gonna go? You make it there after the game?
Yep.
Detroit Pistons versus Memphis Grizzlies. Kool-Aid, you are the beat reporter of Detroit Pistons for this very network.
Oh man.
Break it down for us.
Listen, I definitely tell you, man, talking to some people inside the Pistons facility, the practice facility out there for shoot-around, out there for practices this week, they're really optimistic and they're hoping that this is the win, man. They know that this team needs one, and the thought process is kind of that they need to get a W to be able to have an opportunity to see a little bit different, man. You know, when we heard Cade Cunningham about a week or two ago just flat out say, man, we're just a bad team, that type of stuff can play on your psyche. That type of stuff, it seems like when you get 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, and then you keep losing the same way, where you're hanging with a team, night after night after night, and then you're losing it down the stretch, that can just play bad for your overall mojo. And so they're hoping to be able to go out there tonight, a game that is winnable for them. But the Memphis Grizzlies, they're not slouches, man. They got some pretty good players on the other side, man. 3J, Desmond Bane. Those are types of players that the Pistons this season have had a very, very difficult time with defending. They cannot defend that three-point line as effectively as they need to. And for some reason down the stretch, they have not been able to go out there and get the rebounds that they need to either stop the other team from getting second chance points or to be able to go out there themselves and get the second chance points. But they do got Bojan back. That does help to ease a little bit of the rotation and the balance issues they've had. It's not going to be this kind of this special fix. This thing fixes everything. But it does give them a solid opportunity to go out there with another professional scorer, take some pressure off of Cade Cunningham. If Killian Hayes has the ball in his hands, give him a couple more people that he can actually, throw to that can actually hit the three. Because one of the things to me that was just kind of like, what are we doing in the last game was Stu was out there. He kind of kept taking 3 after 3 after 3. And I'm like, man, we got Bojan on the squad. You got Cade Cunningham hitting off ball threes. Why are these plays either diagrammed for him, or why is he just the individual that keeps getting that play? I understand if it's going to be situational, but if you're depending on Stewart to hit threes, it's going to be a long night. A long night, brother. So I'm hoping that they go out there against the Memphis Grizzlies. And the one thing I want to see from a young team, they got 8 players on rookie contract deals that are in this regular rotation. Youngest team, one of the youngest teams in the league. For a long time, they were sporting the youngest starting lineup, and they really haven't played together. I keep telling people this. Cade hasn't played with this team. People say, yeah, they have. I said, no, they haven't. Like, he played 12 games last season, and Ivy wasn't what he was. Duran was coming off the bench during that time. Stu wound up getting hurt. Bagley got hurt, at the beginning of last year. And now you got Marcus and you got Asar on this squad as well. It's some moving pieces here, and he didn't really get to play with Bojan. So this team is new. They need to get chemistry while they're also trying to learn how to play NBA basketball.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a good mix, but when you're drafted this high, when you've kind of gone not just the 4 years, like if they were the Houston Rockets who have had some recent history, some recent good history, then you could say, you know what, yeah, we could take our time getting this done. But when you're stringing together 15 years, going on almost a decade, people don't really care if you're rebuilding just the last 4 years.
Yeah.
They want their money's worth because people have been coming out and supporting this team. They were 12th in attendance last year. You go out there this year and they're still getting at least 10,000 into that arena for a squad that has lost a record amount of games, dog. Like
literally amounts that we haven't seen here ever.
Dog,
a franchise record-breaking amount of losses.
Look, bro, media not even really supposed to be in there showing their emotions or anything like that. But after some of these losses, you just see everyone just kind of
dejected.
And they look, even the media, man, even other people's media is like, sorry. It's like, we're not the team, but thank you. I'll take that because it's cold now. It's Detroit in the winter, basically. You're going out there and you're covering this team, and most media is not getting out of there until 11:30, 12 o'clock. Make sure they get their articles done. Make sure they can get the proper coverage done and everything. And it's like what you want to see is to cover somebody good. Like I do the podcast with Rod, man, on Woodward Pistons. Shout out to Rod Beard, sports editor-in-chief for the Detroit News. And it hit me like that man really covered a bunch of losing. Like as good as a writer as he was, and as a beat writer, and as somebody who's covered Michigan basketball upon some other sports, that there were a string of beat writers who came to the Pistons and they didn't cover realistically any team that had a real shot to do anything more than get swept in the first round of the playoffs. It's time to end that. This is a sports town. Detroit is a sports city, man. We deserve better than that. The fans deserve better than that. Like, y'all saw me last year doing the concourse stuff with the fans, talking to the fans and all of that, taking the microphone and the camera and everything out there. And I'm asking these people, why are you guys out here? Because we believe, because we want to see this team win, because we're trying to show them as a fan base that this stuff matters to us, man. So it's just like, you want to see this team win. And I do know that the players care too, man. Being down there at the facility, we get to talk to Monty Williams, get to talk to some of the players, and they're not giving up. They're not quitting, but you could tell that they're pressing just a little bit. They're pressing so much, and that's the opposite of what you need down the stretch. Bro, look, they were up by 2 points on the Indiana Pacers with 8 minutes left to go, and they lost by 20 points. I don't even understand how to explain it. Chris, I don't even know how to explain that, bro.
I mean, I'm at a loss for words too at this point. That's what this streak has been, is a lot of just loss for words. It's lost for words when you see, teams or players that you believe in, players that are talented, and you're watching them do, make miscues and pick and roll defense that you and I in high school Kool-Aid wouldn't have even done. Like it's crazy to me. It's a lot of, and that gets to what you were saying earlier, which I think is the most important part, is the Pistons need this win for their morale, because at this point, this is a team that is playing under what their level of talent is. And I know that's kind of a crazy thing to say given who the Pistons are, but they are even underperforming their talent when they are already one of the least talented rosters in the NBA right now. So, and that's because this losing streak is happening. That's because they're frustrated with every game. They feel the pressure. Remember at the beginning of the season, what did Isaiah Stewart say? What did he say? He said, I want to be like the Lions. I want to get this. I want to get this place rocking like Ford Field is rocking. So they know that these players want that, and that's obviously not where the Pistons are right now. So I think that it's just mounting, it's building, and that's how those 20-point swings happen. That's how these inexcusable losses happen. It's a team that's deflated, and they need to build confidence. And I hope that Monty Williams in the locker room is building that confidence with these players, because that's a tough job to do. How do you keep showing up to work every day when you haven't won in 5 weeks? You haven't tasted victory in 5 weeks. How do you go in that locker room as a coach and still get your guys to play hard? It's tough.
Yeah. Now, Bojan Bogdanović, man, after his first game back, somebody asked him, like, you've seen the team kind of losing from afar. What do you do to kind of talked to the team, he was like, well, I'm part of the team. I feel it too. Like, I'm in the locker room with these guys. I'm in the practices with these guys. And what he said is he told them he's been there before. He said he believes in these guys. Monty Williams has been there before. He's seen teams that won 19 games, and he's helped coach those teams up. And so he said if he saw any red flags on his team or any sign that these guys weren't it, he would go to front office right now and let them know that guy is not cut out to be here. You're going to go through adversity. You're going to. They've gone through some major injuries. They are a young team. I don't know if it's necessarily the right mix of vets for the squad. The chemistry, they haven't really played. They lost a year effectively last year because people, this is not like if Duran got hurt for a season or if Ivy got hurt for a season. Cade Cunningham was out for the season. That's huge when you're talking about the Luka or the Ja Morant of other teams.
Yeah,
you see exactly
Look at
how
Memphis
that
right now.
You see how that messes things up.
Yeah,
and it's not just that Cade or the people are, oh, Cade's back. Cade has to effectively get used to NBA basketball again too because he missed an entire season. Yeah, and we got the starters for tonight, man. They just got released for the Pistons. Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes, Bojan Bogdanovic back in the starting lineup, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren.
Talk about that more when we get back. Maybe some bets too if you guys want an excuse to watch that game.
I mean, listen, money has got to be the ultimate incentive for this Piston team.
Kool-Aid's not allowed to bet, but I got you guys. Jalen Duren, double-double. Just lock it up.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. First, let me tell you about Glorious Cannabis. Glorious Cannabis is back with a new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called a Honolulu Blue. It smells so good. It's like the whiff of the first playoff win in 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in honor of your Detroit Lions. You can find them at Dispo Dispensary and get them 25% off using the promo code Woodward at checkout. Visit gloriouscanna.com.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Co., official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan-grown, family-owned. Bad boy mowers, tractors, steel handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, snow X-plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing. Delivery to your doorstep. OutdoorEquipmentCo.com.
What up, though? Welcome back to Whatever It's Live on Woodwardsports.com. Hey, Steve started. All right, don't get mad, get hit back. But smash that like button. I have a question, or I guess a statement, more so. But am I in the wrong for being impatient with this a little bit? And it's kind of like recognizing some of the things you said, because I do feel like one, obviously this is not a good team. I don't think they're going to turn things around to the point where they're like a playoff team or anything, at least like in this season. But I think there was something to be said with both the situation with Ivy and Cade, not like actually anyone being able to play with Cade last year. I think obviously you missed Duren for a point in time that some people are forgetting about. Obviously missing a couple other guys that, Burks was there for a minute. He's back now too, but I don't know how much of an impact he's truly making. But Bojan not coming back. I feel like there's a chemistry thing to like a line itself out, on top of like just guys being young, and it just being a whole new, like you know what I'm saying. I guess like that's part of it. You know, am I tripping or?
It's part of it. And that's why at least on my show, man, I've tried to let people know. And Rob Beard has helped me kind of see the way that these deals go. When they signed Bojan and Marvin Bagley to the deals that they did, we realized right then and there that this team wasn't positioning themselves to go out there and make a splash until the summer of next year. And we said that about a year and a half ago. We said it on the pod, go back, check the tapes. And coming into the season, at best, they were still a team that everybody thought was going to pick in the lottery. If you do miss your vets, your Fred VanVleet and your Dylan Brooks, which is what your Monte Morris and your Bojan Bogdanovic signings are, to try and help give your guys some NBA players, some NBA scorers, some NBA facilitators who can go out there and give you a little bit more than Kojo and Rodney McGruder, then this team would have won a few more games. Everybody knows that. Nobody out here believes, right, that if those guys started off the season healthy and never got injured, that they'd be 2-19 right now on a 17-game losing streak, 2-18 on the 17-game losing streak. I don't think anybody here would believe that. I didn't, but I did believe that barring catastrophic injury that they would not hit that 30-win mark. What's good, Chris?
And also, I this was a theory I was looking into. I brought it up. I don't know if you caught wind of it, but Dan Burke's absence. When Dan Burke, who was hired in as the defensive guru, longtime assistant coach in the NBA, I believe 23 seasons. His most recent work was with Doc in Philly. He's widely regarded. I checked with my boy. He was on Indiana. My boy's like, no, this guy's a defensive genius. What he does with his schemes. Pistons were 2-2. He took a personal leave after that OKC game. Since then, they've lost every single game. How much of that is Monty being, because we saw Steven Silas as well, right, being somebody that he leans on for the offensive side of the ball. So he does almost in a way kind of Dan Campbell approach, where it's he delegates his roles and his responsibilities. So how much of it do you think is that, especially for a young team? Because this team defensively, Kool-Aid, I mean, those first 4 games, we saw a lot better of a defense, and that's what changed my outlook on the season.
I do got a theory on that, too. And you never discount what a coach can do, especially if it's their specialty. That's why you hire coaches. That's why you bring them in. They're not just names, but they bring with them some cachet. So I do believe that there's some truth to that, Chris. Mm-hmm. You have to. But there's something that Stewart and Duran said early on that they stopped doing. And they said when they were 2-1, what's the secret behind what's going on right now? And they said, we're not going to let the other team get comfortable. Pause, but they need to fill us. We need to pause, but we need to make sure that we're touching them on every single possession. They're filling the elbows, that they're filling, for fouling them, that we're not giving up and ones. And that is what we saw early on in the season when Duran was, I'm talking about swatting shots. But after Duran got hurt, I thought it might have been Stewart who was the dog in that kind of pairing. Mm-hmm. But after Duran got hurt, that philosophy just kind of went away. They stopped playing this kind of physical brand of basketball, which kept.
And this never been Bagley's thing either,
Yeah. It was never him really doing it. I mean, he stepped up his game a little bit this year, but it doesn't really matter.
On offensive guy.
Yeah, on the offensive side. And I think that had a lot to do with it as well, man. When that pairing kind of got broken up early in the year due to his injuries, the Pistons went on this streak, and when he tried to come back several times, that ankle just still wasn't right. I think that Duran holds a lot of the keys to what this team's defense can be from a physical standpoint, from their overall mentality. Because not only can he go out there and talk the talk and play physical, we know that Stu can go out there and play physical.
Yeah.
But Duran is not having somebody go and snatch a rebound over his head. Mm-hmm. He's not having somebody just.
Well, Asar may beg to differ. Asar was grabbing them boards.
But I mean, I'm talking about the guy that he's posting, that he's blocking out. Yeah, Asar, he's a freak of nature as it relates to his athleticism. Yeah, he's about the only person on the squad that I'm like, yo, he definitely is a rebounding force. Mm-hmm. Can definitely go up there and grab some boards, snatch some boards. But as it relates to Stewart, when you got to rely on just Stewart as your big man. As I think that man is really like 6'7". He's not 6'9" or 6'8" to me.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And you see him. Look at the end of these games. Yeah. Some of these games they've lost. He's gone up, good position, boxed out, jumped up for the rebound, and the defender just. Yeah. I'm gonna just take that, and we're going down the court now. And that type of stuff has absolutely killed the Pistons down the stretch because. Look, they vowed to be more competitive. Yeah. They have been competitive in these games, and then they just fall apart at the end of these games. Absolutely fall apart. And it's largely due to 1 3. And then we see the other team hit another 3. And then the Pistons miss a 3. And then we see the other team get an and 1.
I have a question. I got tons of questions, actually. I guess let me start with this one, too, because the few games Ivy had got that starting spot, they're going to be like blowouts. They insert Killian back into the lineup. Still taking L's, a little closer. And I guess it mixes into my second question a little bit too. Like, where you at with Monty? I guess in that lineup, because I know like you were kind of close to Casey and you understood like his role in just building this team up. But where you at with Monty as a coach versus Casey, and I guess both that lineup as well?
Man, that's a good question. Honestly, I want to see Ivy get every opportunity to prove that he's not a fit before we just assume that he's not a fit. I want to see him go out there and get the minutes, get the opportunities. And honestly, if you're going to play Cade Cunningham off ball a little bit more, put the ball in Ivy's hands like you did the second half of last season. Now, this is one key component here, and Monty Williams talked about this at the last practice. These young guys are actually being game planned against and game planned for now. Even Marcus Sasser, he said, no, they're showing up in the scouting report. So that's a difference now. Now teams are trying to play and funnel guys like Cade Cunningham, Ivy, and Sasser into their weak spots. And that makes a huge difference. So not only are they trying to learn how to play the game, but it's no longer the same game that they played last year because now they're getting attention. Last year, nobody cared. This year, at the beginning of the season, when they were 2-1, and when Spo kind of put on tape, hey, look, Cade Cunningham is somebody that you guys are going to have to pay attention to, and he put that kind of that recipe out there, that wasn't just about Cade. That was all of these young players that were top 5 picks and higher. It makes a difference. And so they're going to have to learn this thing. They're going to have to figure it out. But in terms of Monty, he said he's still kind of just turning the dial. He's still trying to make things work. And ultimately, when Ivy is not on the bench, I don't know who you expect to score. That's kind of been one of the things that I've noticed the most is maybe he can be this punch off the bench because Killian is not providing the scoring punch off the bench at all. So I don't know, man. Got to see a little bit more from Monty. Like I said, me personally, I want to see Ivy in that starting lineup every single night and to be able to get the time to prove that he's not it. That's me.
I can tell you right now. Okay. as a fit. And I know we're going a little bit over here, but I rarely get to talk to you about like Pistons in this setting. Tom Gores, I feel like in the NBA, a lot of times it is money. A lot of times it is talent that gets you there. It's like one owner is willing to spend the money or burn what assets to acquire that talent. I feel like the apron obviously is going to change that here in the future, but I feel like Tom Gores is the type of owner you want as an NBA franchise because he is willing to put in. He's obviously look at Monty in his contract. He's willing to spend the bread. He did the same thing with acquiring Blake
and Monty.
Yeah, and Monty. Like, where are you at with him? Can fans point to him, or you think they're just lost in their frustrations when they do that?
I think that while they're losing right now, everything is viable to be blamed right now.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the right type of blame. Look, the Pistons, they said this in the offseason. After Cade's injury, they were going to take another year of assessment because they didn't really know what was what. We come into this season and we realized, we talked to Troy Weaver January 22nd or 23rd, June 22nd or 23rd, 7 days before free agency. He said, I'm not making a splash, which means every deal that came after, Joe Harris, Monte Morris, 1-year deals, they got some draft picks to take on Joe Harris. That's what that was about. Can we get paid to sit on our cap space until next season when we have an opportunity to see exactly what a star is? Because if Cam Johnson were here, 1, he's not living up to his contract that he has. 2, he would have blocked Asar Thompson.
Facts.
Because Monty Williams would have went and played the vet. Troy said he wanted to be able to get an opportunity to see these guys, so when he actually gets an opportunity to spend this big amount of cap space that they have, it's going to be on the right players and the right fit because they can no longer afford to go out there and do a Fred VanVleet and a Dylan Brooks type of deal. Now they have to go out there and actually find the guys who are going to take them into actual playoff contention. And I don't mean play in, but playoff contention. These next set of deals have to be the deals that will work alongside Cade. Well, does Cade need a CP3 type of guard next to him? Because coming into the season, nobody believed that. Now we see that Cade, as this off-ball player, is actually a better three-point shooter, a little bit more efficient. Not that you take the ball completely out of his hands, but now you get a little bit more of an idea of where to go and spend that money.
Jason Tatum, we'll ask Luka.
Yeah. But yeah, man, look, they got a big summer ahead of them. Between now and the free agency, they got a lot ahead of them, and they actually have the means to do it. If they wanted to go out there and trade to be able to get a star, it usually takes 2 young players. Well, they got the core. When Troy Weaver came in, the core was Bruce Brown and Luke Kennard. I don't know what you're getting with that. But if you talk about right now, if they had to part with a Stewart or an Ivy or an Asar or even a Sasser, who they've played his value up, well, now they got a few better pieces. They got the draft pick this year coming up, which is going to be a really good draft pick. And they got, you know, a few movable or tradable pieces in Bojan Bogdanovic and whenever Monte Morris gets back. So they got some pieces, man. That's the one thing that I've hated about Monte Morris being injured is that you wanted to make sure that he was healthy. So if you wanted to be able to flip him for at least even another second-round draft pick to give yourselves as much capital as possible, that you could do that. But this is the most pivotal year. For me, I keep telling people it's an audit for Troy Weaver and for Tom Gores. If they strike out this summer, man, my whole tune changes. It's an audit. It's either pass or fail. And it's right now. He did his job with setting up the young talent. He did his job, bro, with make sure to go out there and clear off all that dead money. No long-term contracts. They're not tied up, and they got a lot of cap space ahead. Go out there and do something worth a dang.
Off-ball Cade birthed through not having any other offensive alternatives?
What'd you say?
Was off-ball Cade birthed by not having any like offensive alternatives?
Yeah. I mean, because who's your three-point shooter?
Exactly.
Like, for real, who's shooting the threes? Just Cade coming down and passing it to Stu and Killian every play? Or would you rather Killian come down and pass it to Cade on the wing, who for a large part of the season was shooting over 40% from catch and shoot 3-point? So, yeah.
Well, got a little OT. Spin usually likes to close it early, so a little treat for you guys. Make sure you give my guy a follow. It's at Detroit Kool-Aid. Constant Pistons coverage, but obviously he covers everything else too. He wouldn't be on the show if he wasn't. At the real Chris Platte still?
The real Chris Platte. Not the fake one.
Not the fake one.
The real one.
At JB up next and at Speakeasy Sports _. Same thing on OnlyFans if you guys want to check out Steve Wild's mom. She's doing some amazing things on there too. Shout out to her.
Hey, yo.
And we'll see you guys. Special leg button.
Shout out Spinny.